Welcome to John Gets Excited, episode 4. Today is September 4th, 2014, and I've got some stuff I really want to talk about. So let's get into it. The first thing that's making me really excited is the fact that as of this moment, John Gets Games, the YouTube channel, has 99 subscribers, one away from 100. I've only been doing this for about 4.5 months, so that's really exciting to me that it's gotten that big that fast. And thank you if you're a subscriber already. And if you aren't, well, maybe you could be a super cool triple-digit subscriber. That'd be neat. Alright, so let's talk about board games. The first game that I want to talk about that's making me really excited is called King's Forge. And it's right here. This is a game designed by Nick Cibicki, I think that's how you say it, and it is a super cool dice fest. In this game, you roll tons of dice on your turn. But the really interesting part is that you don't start with that many dice. You start with 5 black dice, and there are 4 different colored dice in the game, and increasing rarity or difficulty to get. And so the first turn you may be throwing just a couple dice, but then you spend these dice. Sometimes you remove them permanently from your dice pool to get better dice. You spend 1 black die to get 2 black dice maybe on your following turn, or you get rid of black die to get a green die, which is slightly better and harder to get. And like 3 turns in, you're rolling like 10 dice, and 5 turns in, you're rolling like 17 dice. And that's just so freaking cool. Added on top of this, well, first of all, that whole dice building mechanic where you're adding dice in, it feels like you're playing a deck building game where you get to use your entire deck every single turn. And that just feels very fresh to me. You're not drawing 5 dice out of the bag, you're throwing all of them. So once you have this really big deck of cards, it's almost like you're holding like 20 cards in your hand. You're like, ooh, what am I gonna do with this turn? Now the dice obviously are all just 1 through 6 pips on them, so unlike a deck building game where each card has super cool different things they can do on it, these are just pip values that you use to acquire various things that you're forging to get victory points, but it's still really neat. And the way you actually add the dice into that pool is really cool too, because you have 4 different cards that are dealt out randomly on each player's turn, and they're going to pick one of them. And on that card is 2 options, and they pick one of them, and that might involve getting a reroll for later in the turn, or maybe just doing that thing where you destroy dice to get new dice for later. But then when the next person's turn comes up, they draw a new card, and they still have 4 options. But that little stack of cards with these actions on it are different every game. You only use about 2/3 of the overall options in each game, and you throw the rest into the box. So each game has a different feel to it, and oh man, that's just really cool. The last really interesting thing about this game, at least for Kickstarter backers, is that it came with a expansion already in the box called the Queen's Jubilee. It can be purchased for non-Kickstarter people, and it's a modular expansion. You essentially take out all of the things that you could forge in the game, in the base game, and take them out, and you take this Queen's Jubilee and put it in, and I haven't played it yet, but I'm excited to try, and hypothetically the game moves a little bit faster, and these things that you actually craft, which are essentially victory points in the Queen's Jubilee, actually add to your engine and make the game go even faster. So that's just really cool to have all that different variety in one really beautiful box. Anyway, that's King's Forge. The second game that I want to talk about is La Isla by Stefan Feld. He is such a prolific board game designer. I own a couple of his games. I have Amerigo up here and Rialto. I've played probably 6 or 7 other games by him, and I'm a fan of his games, although I'm not a fan of every single one of his games. And when I first saw La Isla on Board Game Geek, it didn't actually excite me that much. It just kind of looked like another middle-range Stefan Feld game. Okay, whatever, I'll just move on. Nothing about it really jumped out at me. And that all changed yesterday when I saw a video walkthrough by Michael Wibner. I'll put a link underneath the video. It's a very good walkthrough. And 7 minutes in, I was hooked. I'm so excited about this game now, watching how it actually plays. And there are a couple reasons for that. The first reason is that many Stefan Feld games have a lot of downtime, a lot of analysis paralysis problems. And what this game does is it takes the probably juiciest part of your turn and makes it simultaneous action. So not your whole turn isn't simultaneous, but the main thinky part is, so you're all doing it at the same time. And what that involves is you get 3 cards, and each card has 3 different locations on them, and you are going to do one of each location, and you have to pick and choose which card you want to do. So say there's location A, B, and C, well then you could take this card and say this one is going to use location A, this card's going to be location B, and this one's going to be location C. Maybe actually I want this card to be location C and this card to be location A. And you're doing that kind of stuff in your head while everyone else is doing that. Once you've all decided, you flip over all the cards, and then there is a key moment where you actually go in player order and you put little explorers out on this island. And what you're trying to do is capture various exotic animals. And that part looks interesting as well because you're trying to corner an animal. It seems very thematic. You're trying to capture these animals, so you've got to surround them with your people. I was worried originally that this would just be another area control game with dudes on a map and blah blah blah, but actually it's a little bit less than that. You're trying to control very small spots by surrounding these little animals, but then you move your guys elsewhere. So you're kind of tactically moving your little explorers all around the island. It doesn't feel like it's just going to be trying to acquire territory and score victory points for those. You're just trying to get little tiles and then move on to the next thing. The last thing that is really interesting about this game to me is that there is a collective endgame victory point scoring thing going on, where there are 5 different animals, and at the beginning of the game, each animal is worth 0 points to you at the end of the game if it was to stay that way. But as the game goes, you move this little track up, which says, okay, now each dodo is worth 1 victory point at the end of the game, and then now each dodo is worth 2 victory points at the end of the game. But everyone is collectively doing this. You don't have your own separate tracks. So you want to make sure if you put the dodo up from 3 points each to 4 points each, that you have the most dodos and that you are likely to stay in the lead on dodos. That seems like a very interesting mechanic. I'm just really excited about this game. I'm looking forward to getting it. It's not out yet, but hopefully it'll be out in a couple months according to the internet, maybe even sooner. The next thing that I'm excited about is not actually a board game. It's an improvement to the John Gets Games channel. You may have noticed that I have a microphone. I finally went and bought one, and it's going through this swanky system that's going to make the audio sound way better than it used to when it was just my iPhone microphone trying to catch my voice as I throw it across my echoey apartment. So I'm pretty excited. I'm getting maybe a little bit more legit, and hopefully the audio quality has gotten much better in this video and the last one that I did. The next thing is sort of a John Was Excited update. I've now acquired Imperial Settlers and Potato Man, and I've played them both once. And the super brief update is Potato Man, 5 players, does not work very well. It did not work at all, actually. Whenever you play a red card, someone else can play a red card in a 5-player game, whereas with less than 5, once a red card is played, no one else can for the round. I'm looking forward to trying this with less players. I'm still excited to try it with less, but I'm a little more unsure about my overall opinion of the game. And the one play I did of Imperial Settlers so far was a 2-player game with my girlfriend, Jess. I was the Romans, she played the Barbarians. I loved it. Oh man, it was everything I wanted to be, playing these combos and getting all these resources, and she was really bored by it. She kind of wanted it to be over 3 out of 5 turns in. So she was just kind of sick of playing games where you spend rock to build buildings in a civilization setting. She's just really bored by the theme, and I guess I can't really blame her for that, but I'm still excited. I still really want to play this more. Preferably 3 players next time. I think that might be more interesting. I've heard that 4 players has a lot of downtime, but I'll probably find out about that at some point. The last thing is a reminder about the what game am I going to review next poll that's ongoing from the last video. I'll probably be doing a review next Monday or so in about 5 days. And as you can see up there, it's quite close at the moment. So click down below. There's a really easy link. Take you maybe 10 seconds to vote on what game you want me to review next. And please subscribe to my channel so that you can see what game it actually ends up being and you can participate in the next poll that I do. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you guys next time.